Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
The Toddcast is filmed before a live feline audience. All right, good evening, everybody. Once again, now we're back, and we got a full house again. Thank goodness.
Hey, I'm back.
Yay, Alice is back.
Did you miss me?
We did.
Actually, yes. As a matter of fact, we missed you.
No,
we missed you. The reason is because getting all the cameras set for only 2 people, or back to 2 people after we've had 3 people. I love my technology, but I hate my technology. So there we are. And that's that.
Glad I could be of service.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Well, everybody's got a purpose and a place.
Yeah.
Mine is to fill this seat.
That's right.
Yeah,
So there's
exactly.
3 people on camera.
Yes, there are finally 3 people back.
Much rejoicing.
Anyway, tonight we are going to be doing Southern Colorado. We've gone through the north-ish Front Range and to the Divide. We've gone through the central area and to the Divide. We are now in Southern Colorado, and we're going to go all the way from the eastern border of Colorado to the western border of Colorado just to do that entire band of Colorado.
That's a lot of acreage.
That's
a lot of territory to cover.
The reason is because there's not a lot of towns down there.
Right.
Yeah.
There's not a lot going on down there.
Wide open spaces.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's small, small towns. It's rocky. It's remote. It's, there's a reason why everybody lives up north.
It's hot.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, especially in the Four Corners area.
Well, even like in eastern Colorado, at the border, it's
very much
warm.
Very much.
Makes really good watermelon, though.
Yeah.
Really good melon comes from that section of the country. It's really, in fact, we were at a family get together today and we had Rocky Ford watermelon, and you could just, the difference between Rocky Ford watermelon and others. It's just so sweet. It's so good.
Well, it's like Palisade peaches.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
I mean, you know the difference.
Are in season right now.
Yes.
They are.
If you're a Coloradoan and you go to King Soopers, you can get your Palisade peaches.
Yes, you can.
So, and if you know, you know. That's all we got to say.
Back when Kat was in high school, we did that as a fundraiser, and they went over the mountain and directly to the farm and collected cases of peaches for all of us to buy. And so delicious.
Yeah.
Well, and this is the really sad part about being a diabetic. I love those peaches. Okay, I love the strawberries. I love the peaches. I love the black cherries, and and all of that can be found here. And I'm disappointed.
You're limited. Don't say you can't.
No, I'm so limited.
You're very limited.
So limited.
But it's a treat, and that's why it's special.
Exactly, and I miss it so much.
I am this is another thing where I'm the kind of the lone wolf in the family where I don't like peaches. And I also don't like coconut cake. Little insight to the family stuff. But one of the big treats for summer is vanilla ice cream with fresh cut peaches on top of it. Like our great grandfather did that. Mom would do that for us. You all would eat that, and I just have my bowl of vanilla.
Well, exactly.
I just have the bowl of peaches.
I'm not a big fan, but anyway. So the treats of Southern Colorado are
let's not
melons.
forget the chili peppers.
Oh,
Now I know there's
yeah.
a
that's like
There's-
New Mexico, but
New
they
Mexico.
come up there.
No,
That's
there's
another
both
fight.
Colorado and New Mexico, and there's big debate.
but Hatch. I mean,
Hatch,
I'm not going to
wins
deny
hands
you
down,
a
but
Hatch green chili. That is
No.
and then
but
bringing them up here and them roasting it on the street
I was going
corners.
to say, 'tis the season to
fall. The smells of fall.
just
Yeah, because you can get that smell and you know
yeah,
right
then
off.
What it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know right
it
off.
hits different than other peppers.
yeah,
So
it really does. So
thank you,
yummy.
Hatch, New Mexico.
Yeah,
But-
little hatch.
Little Hatch.
But there's also, we grow them here,
We do.
the sandy
And they-
soils in the southern.
Yeah.
half
They
of
do
the
very
state.
well. They do very well, and it's because all that soil left over from the very, very ancient oceans.
Yes. And off he goes.
We're gonna do a geology thing tonight.
Boo.
We are gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We have to.
Yay.
We have to because of things I discovered. I discovered something very, very important. Anyway, moving on. So we've got Southern Colorado. And we're going to go all the way from the east to the west side, and we're going to start basically in the Three Corners area of Colorado.
Yeah.
Which is the eastern side, and it borders, and see if I got this right, Oklahoma, Texas, and Colorado.
Yes.
Those are the three areas that it borders.
Yes.
So, yay us. We have another little surveyor type spot there for all of you surveyor junkies out there who get into that whole thing. And that's something that I don't necessarily get into, but I know that a lot of other people do. And that's cool. But after that, there's a whole lot of nothing as you head west.
I've driven I-50. It's
Yeah.
a whole lot of nothing.
Watermelon patches.
Yeah.
Rocky Ford's out there.
Yeah.
True. A lot of ranch land.
Cantaloupe. Like, it's just good
Yeah.
for melons.
Oh, Bent's Old Fort is out there.
That is
That's
cool.
true.
That's important because
really
that
important.
was the old Santa Fe trails, one of the old Santa Fe trail stops.
It's a historical monument. I mean, it's a big time with settling the West.
Yeah.
It was
Or
significant.
no, Cimarron Trail. It was a Cimarron Trail rail stop. Oh, way stop.
We'll
Sorry.
fix it.
Well,
Whatever
yeah,
it is.
I know.
It's historical.
Yeah, and
Important.
yeah, thank you. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ben's Old Fort's out there, and that's really, really fun for some deep, deep history. That is a fort that they've actually really taken care of.
Yeah.
I mean, really, not like Fort Vasquez, which is up north of us here.
Yeah.
Northeast of us. Fort Vasquez is an okay fort. It's a very small fort.
And
Very small.
weathered.
Oh yeah,
Very
but they've
weathered.
done a lot of restoration on it.
Oh, that's good.
They've done a lot of
It's been a hot
restoration. They do hold some buckskinner events out
Oh,
there.
nice. Okay.
Yeah, reenactors again, because it's how Kris and I met is through reenactment, but medieval. Anyway, so traveling westward, you go to Walsenburg is the first big major town on US 160. Now, Walsenburg is an excellent place to stop. There's a lot of good, really good old historical buildings there to look at, to go drive through. It's one of those, in my mind, an undiscovered little fun historical nugget.
A little hidden gem,
Yeah,
if you will.
exactly.
Beautiful old Catholic church in the middle of town.
Exactly.
It's really cool. It's one of those mission churches, so it's got some neat history there.
Exactly.
There was a cool Channel 6 special on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Colorado Experience on Rocky Mountain PBS. Look it up.
It was a good
It's
episode.
a really
it.
good series.
Really good
Worth
episode.
it. I mean, that series is fantastic. We get a lot of our information from that series.
Hashtag not sponsored, but that's okay.
Again,
but it's we're research.
right.
Yeah.
Let's see. If you're going to stay on I-25 for a little bit, I would go ahead and take that trip down to Trinidad.
Yes.
Yes.
The Mining History Museum is in Trinidad. There's several other little fun spots in Trinidad to stop at and do things.
There's a really good restaurant that does authentic Indian fry bread in Trinidad.
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of in town, but if you're kind of wanting authentic Native American cuisine, there's a restaurant in there. thank you, Food Network, for that research.
Right on.
But it was like and if you've never had authentic Indian fry bread, you have it's up there with naan.
Oh yeah,
but it's more masa, and it's just so good.
It's a comfort food.
It's so good.
Yeah,
it's a comfort food.
So good.
So I can't say enough good about it, because and again, something else that I can have in very limited portions,
dose, but it's,
but I
mean, food is part of culture.
Yeah.
And in learning about the culture, you can do that a lot through food. And that's a really neat area of town or actually area of the state, so that you can get some really deep Plains Indians history for sure. And that's that section. And that's part of the culture, is with the cuisine.
I'm going to say it again. A lot of folks will say that math is the universal language. I disagree. I think it's food.
There's many ways to communicate.
Yeah, but food is one of those that doesn't really require a translator. This is good. We like this. We're going to share this.
Yeah. So anyway, good eating down there.
Exactly.
It's also got some interesting historic buildings. I love the downtown of Trinidad.
Yes.
It's just really, really neat with the red brick buildings. An interesting combination of folks. You were talking about the Native American restaurant. Again, it was a place where a lot of Italian immigrants settled because they were working on the railroads.
That's true. Really good Italian food down there. Same in Walsenburg. Walsenburg has some good Italian food.
Well, from Pueblo South. Yeah. And then another interesting tidbit is that Trinidad was the first city. There was a surgeon there who did the first, and then for many years, the only surgeon doing gender reassignment surgery.
That's right. That's correct.
So interesting tidbit for Trinidad.
Exactly.
That way. So, but we took the long way home from Texas once. We were moving you back home. And we stopped and just picked up some food at the grocery store and had a lovely picnic in there.
Park.
They have a lovely park right next to the river, and
just got out of the car.
Yeah, and it was a lovely time. Yeah. So definitely worth a visit, I think.
Indeed.
It's the Arkansas River that goes through there, right?
I don't remember. I want to say yes.
We ate next to the river, and I think it was the Arkansas.
Yeah.
I want to say yes.
Okay.
And it's also...
We'll fix it. We'll put it right here.
We'll figure it out. But
it was a beautiful park. It was
beautiful
so good.
Park. Like I said, lots of interesting old architecture. And it's kind of your get ready to go over the pass from there. So Raton Pass is like, that's the last city before you get over.
Yeah, that's going in. That's going into New Mexico. We're going to be heading west.
I know.
We're going to hit Wolf Creek.
But this is my normal reason to go.
I'd rather drive Raton than I would Wolf Creek. I'm just telling you that
Raton
are an order of magnitude different, even though Wolf Creek is tamed so much from when I was a child.
Switchbacks when you get back on that downside.
They no longer, they've widened it enough, and they've put the snow roofs on where the avalanche areas are.
Okay.
But when I was growing up, I used to love going over Wolf Creek because of the signage that basically talked about if you're carrying cattle, don't be careful with these switchbacks or your sheep will fall out of the truck. I'm like, really?
It's a doozy.
Yeah, it's a doozy.
Now the other thing that I do want to talk about is this is kind of a rough bit of history. Down in that area, there are two areas that are kind of a very sad remembrance and memorial area. One is the Sand Creek Massacre.
Excellent museum set up down there for it.
There is, and it's a horrible, horrible incident that needs to be talked about, needs to be brought forward, needs to be remembered. The other area is the Ludlow area and the Ludlow Massacre. The remains of the town of Ludlow you can see off of I-25 before you actually go over Raton Pass. The old church bell tower is still visible from that workers' town that was there. Again, another incident that needs to be remembered, needs to be talked about. We're not going to go into it too deep here because honestly, that's a separate deep dive unto itself. But definitely it's a black mark in Colorado history that needs to be remembered, needs to be talked about.
And learned from. I think that's the big thing with knowing and honoring that space that it took, is just learning from it to understand change and growth. And we are not a perfect space, and we're not a perfect people. Humans are fallible, but when you know better, you do better.
Exactly.
So
the other one, and I'm pretty sure that's down in southern Colorado, correct me if I'm wrong, are the Japanese internment
camps.
Yes,
the camp is down there, and that is they just put that one as a memorial museum from Congress too, as a space. The Colorado history, whatever it's called now, Colorado history Colorado
has an excellent
it's down
section
there
for that, as well as the Sand Creek massacre.
Yes.
So you don't have to go all the way to the sites, but if you do go all the way to the sites, it's just just the essence, the spirit, the feeling of it all is still there, and it's so very, very moving.
Learning from it.
It's a memorial, and it needs to be
acknowledged. And
you need to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we're moving on. Now we're leaving Walsenburg. We're going to head to Alamosa.
Okay.
I don't know that much about Alamosa at all.
I've been to the sand dunes.
Okay.
So that's where I've been. So the sand dunes, I think we've alluded to it a few episodes back, where there's this, it's the Sangre de Cristos down there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So it's as the wind moves and hits the backside or the west side of the Sangre de Cristos, all of the sand that the wind is carrying basically hits a wall and falls out. And it creates these beautiful, huge sand dunes. And it's really a phenomenon of southern Colorado and Colorado in of itself, of how these dunes are actually formed. And they're mountains of sand.
Yes, they are.
So you can go on the dunes, you can play around on them. It's not soft beach sand.
No.
It is coarse. And if you, we were chatting earlier, you can like snowboard down it or slide down it because the sand is moving. It is an organic space. However, it hurts when you fall off because it's sand, so it's not smooth, and so you could get cut up, and you could get. Don't do it in shorts. Please be in jeans and a long sleeve t-shirt.
This is weathered sand from wind, not from water.
So it's sharp. But it's a really beautiful feature, and you can get on the dunes and see just some neat formations, and it's ever changing. It's never the same. They don't let you on the dunes at night because it is a little bit dangerous. You can fall off the edge and slide down and get lost quite easily. So the dunes at night are off limits, but it's beautiful. If you're into stargazing, you can see some beautiful things out there.
I was gonna say there's really no city anywhere close, and so
really cool campground if you want to
forever at night.
If you want to camp out there, it's really fantastic as well. But it's just it's a really neat, unique Colorado thing. Alamos is a great little town. There's some places to stay, places to eat. Up the street a little bit in Buena Vista is the National Crane.
Oh, right.
Refuge. So all of the sandhill cranes that migrate from the south to the north, that's one of their stops. It's a beautiful big wetland. You can see the Sandhill Crane Festival down there every year, so it's really neat. So there's some neat, unique spaces along that highway as you go along, but we don't spend very much time in the south because it does take a while to get there. So that's why as you see, we're going to be like, oh, I've been there.
Right.
And then the rest of it are like, okay, great.
Yeah, occasionally some of us will pop up and it's like, hey, we got a blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the only time that I've ever actually been to the sand dunes and done anything at the sand dunes is when you were very, very, very little. And it was our trip out to Mesa Verde.
Yeah.
And it took us 2 days to do all that.
All of it, yeah.
Because Dad wanted us to go see this, and by gosh, we did.
So, and then my second time there was 2008, 2007, and I went with Parks and Wildlife as a reward.
Yeah, rub it in.
I got to do something like I've been on the dunes at night. Not many other people have.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we were with the right people, and we got to do the stargazing at night, and it's one of those things where it is pitch dark. Like it is terrifyingly dark out there.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Because
is.
there's no
you
light.
don't see anything, and you understand why they don't let you on the dunes at night, because it is, you don't know where you're stepping.
That's right.
You could fall in a hot second.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So anyways, beautiful, cool thing. I recommend going. I think everybody should do it. It's really a neat space and well worth it.
Yep. And moving on from Alamosa, traveling a little farther west is Monte Vista.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's another little town that I know very little about.
I've only driven through. To be
I think
honest.
I got gas there.
Yeah.
I think I got gas there. But the thing is there's exactly.
Oh, yeah,
okay, Merida
Merida?
must know. Apparently Merida knows. I don't know that much about Monte Vista. Again, my research, I was more concerned about the geology and things that are happening in this area, and also the archaeological things that are happening in this area, that I didn't really research Monte Vista all that much.
I think there's something to note is that a lot of this space that we're traveling along as we go is very agricultural, and it's very rooted in that cattle industry.
Oh, very much.
Very much in the sugar beets and all of those things that you can grow in that high plains desert area. That is still a very important part of Colorado and
Exactly.
our economy and our culture and who we are as a state and why we were settled by those folks. So, it's definitely still holding true to those traditions, and those towns are, there's a lot of land in between towns because that land is producing a lot of things that you probably don't know you're using, but that's where it's coming from.
Yeah, well, and also the farther west you go, the reason there's a lot of space is because there's a lot of vertical space.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of up.
Yeah.
So, okay, so yeah, we got Monte Vista Del Norte or Del Norte. Del Norte. That area again is one that I've driven through.
Yeah.
I haven't done too much with that. It's basically
There's stops along the highway so you can get to the bigger towns of like
exactly. That's pretty much kind of it.
When do we talk about Mesa Verde? I don't want to skip it.
we're not there yet. We're not into Cortez yet.
Yeah, we haven't
that's
even
true.
got
Still-
to Cortez yet.
We have to get through Pagosa and Durango.
See, I always go the other direction.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
We got to get to Cortez first.
Okay.
And we're
All
not
right.
even there yet.
Just wanted to make sure we're not gonna
Yeah,
miss
and
it.
what I'm going to do is I'll probably put up a map here and start circling
kind of
the area.
Poking,
Yeah.
And,
pinning it.
every time we talk about a town, I'll
pin it.
I'll plop a little arrow. Yes.
Here's the
yes,
thing too,
Meredith.
like if you're into camping and into hiking and doing kind of off the grid things, this is a great section of our state for that. I think that the central north part of our state for the out of doors activities is, we're known for that, but south is where you can go, where you can actually kind of be off the grid for a minute.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
really go and do it, because like there is space down there, and you will have towns where you can get amenities and if you need things, but there's also there's great skiing down there.
Oh yeah.
I don't ski. I've snowshoed it, but
Oh, yeah.
and Pagosa, are we there yet?
No.
'Cause,
No.
spent some time there.
Yeah. Actually, the next town over will be Pagosa. Del Norte is for fishermen.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great launching spot. Okay, it's a fantastic launching spot for fishermen. It's one of those places that have all the outfitters and all the places that you can go and get your setup for the river, whatever.
Fly fishing or
Oh yeah,
You can float the
Okay.
river and do really good with that.
yeah. It's what they call gold medal water. Okay, that means that there are
Good size fish.
very, very beautiful specimens coming out of that water, and we're talking trout. Sorry. Yeah,
Trout.
there we go. Yeah, trout.
Good size.
Anyway, moving on from there, we are definitely now going to be going into Pagosa Springs.
All right, there you go.
Okay, this is where Alice says that geology is boring.
I mean, I've been in the hot springs,
Well, yeah.
so
But-
I mean, I've been. Yeah.
And of course, Kris has also tweeted me a couple of times. It's like, oh, look, it's another feature with boiling water coming out of the ground.
Yeah, well,
That's what we're. I mean, I guess
Pagosa is known for the hot springs. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So,
Oh, yeah.
they are actually kind of unique in, like, with Glenwood, it's kind of one pool, one temperature. I mean, there's other space. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
there's other spaces. I've been to both in Glenwood, but in this one, there's like their rec center, and it is part of their rec center. The pools, you have really, really hot ones and really, really not so hot ones, and right on the river ones, and it's unique.
There are two spots in Glenwood now.
Yeah.
There's the big
main pool.
Yeah, and then across the river, farther down,
Yes.
from the Hotel
Indian
Colorado,
Peaks or something like that.
I think so. Yeah, is all the open little spots.
I've been to that one too.
Yeah, so have I. I like them both for separate reasons. Mm-hmm. And the varying temperatures I really, really like.
Yeah.
These are very, very nice hot springs. These are very controlled hot springs, especially in Pagosa Springs is the Springs Resort and Spa.
Yes.
Okay,
Which is, like I said, it's part of their rec center.
Yeah.
And you can get if you're there for the weekend, they let you get a weekend pass, so you can go as many times as you want. So you're not necessarily stuck to pay as you go kind of things. They let you have that.
Okay. There are several little spots in Pagosa Springs. The main one is the commercial one, not the rec
downtown,
center.
yeah.
Not the rec center.
No,
one.
it was when we went. It was part of the rec center.
Okay, because there are about 3 of them, and one is definitely part of the rec center.
The one that looks like the Grecian baths.
Okay, sure. Anyway, yeah, there's quite a bit. Later in tonight, when I go into the whole geology spiel, I will talk about top 10 hot springs in this area alone and why they exist. Let's see. Okay, now we're moving on from Pagosa Springs.
Hang on.
Oh, you got more?
Pagosa is also fully geothermically energized.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they are completely self-sufficient when it comes to their energy.
Yeah, their energy generation source, all the electricity is generated through geothermal.
And from what I understand from Thank You PBS series last night, it was the real estate dude. Anyway, was talking about that the way that the springs are created, and by the time the water comes to the surface, it's sort of demineralized, so it doesn't have that sulfury smell.
Yes, that's why I like them
the
the
other
best.
springs do.
In one set of hot springs.
Ah, okay.
He was talking about one particular set of hot springs.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Meredith
but that's
has a lot to say tonight.
And it's a good bouncing spot and place to stay if you want to ski Wolf Creek Pass. You can go up to Pass where they have a really great big time skiing there. Really big snowshoeing, which is what I did. You're at a lot of altitude.
It's above
It is
timberline.
above timberline. You're above 10,000 feet easy, probably 14.
But the powder up there is phenomenal. And it's not as crowded because you got to work hard to get there.
Yeah. And you have to drive over Wolf Creek.
You have to drive over Wolf Creek.
and in the springtime is the water sports on the river.
Oh, yes.
Big time. They do it in 2 separate places. They do it in Telluride, and they also do it in Pagosa Springs. And they do the run in the river on kayaks and the whole 9 yards. And yeah, it gets crazy.
That's when the snow melts, we get a lot of water in the rivers.
Oh, yeah,
All
we
at
do.
once, and it's fast.
Okay, so moving on, the next little the tiny little stop next is Bayfield. This is a cattle town. This is all about cows,
Ooh.
all about steak, all about hamburger, all about. And I knew a couple folks and was friends for a couple of folks that lived or grew up in Bayfield, and the joking thing that they told me about was we never really named the cows, but we actually take that back. We did name them. We named that one McDonald's. We named that one Wendy's. We named that one Arby's. I know it sounds a little cold and gruesome and ghoulish.
That's
why the cows are there.
They're raised for that reason.
They are raised for food
and sustenance. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I said, it's a little gruesome, but it's gallows humor as far as agriculture goes.
It's again like we were talking about a minute ago. There's spaces for producing things in that section. So.
And this is all moving into Durango. Mm-hmm. And again, Durango, another mining city.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Here we go. Durango was an area where the ore was brought to be melted down, or the almost refined gold was brought to be refined and truly made into ingots and such. Durango was also a way station again for moving farther west. It was used as a wagon stop or a trail stop for all of those folks heading up to California. Durango is also home to a university. What's the name of the university? Is it Mesa?
It's Western
State.
But now it's part of the Colorado State system. So it's Colorado State Mesa, or is it Colorado State Durango? We'll have to look that up, but it's part of the CSU system. It's now part of the Aggie system.
So yeah, they're all Aggies now. Right on. Durango is also the home and I think the first or the place where you board the train to go to the Durango Silverton Loop.
Yes.
And it's the steam train that you saw as the thumbnail or the beginning of this.
It's on our bucket list.
I've done it.
How you have?
She's done it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Oh,
and
very
this is
cool.
where, go for it, Kris.
So my adventure for that was my dad, who lives in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I wanted to meet halfway. And so we decided Durango was the spot. So I did a big loop. And when I went to Durango, I went west first. So I went across I-70 and then headed south. So through Ouray, over the $1 million
$1 million highway.
$1 million highway that we talked about last time.
High driving.
It is high. It is high driving. That was the first time I've ever actually kind of gotten vertigo as a driver.
Well, then I would have died.
So it is intense to this day. And then through Silverton and then down to Durango. And then this is why I was like thinking backwards, because then when I came home, I went up through Pagosa Springs.
Up that way.
That way to go home.
Opposites.
Yeah. So we spent the weekend in Durango, but we did that Durango Silverton. And at the time it was still the steam engines. I don't think they are anymore just because of the fire danger.
I don't know.
I think they're now all diesel.
All the websites I've seen have not been very forthcoming with that information.
Right, because and it might vary. They might have both. And so in the wet season they can use do the steam train, because it is absolutely unique to do the steam train with the smell of the coal and just
the sounds
and what wear glasses, because the little bits of coal come out through the steam as well. But it is a fun experience. And so you go up to Silverton and then they let you out there for a couple of hours, so enough time to we ate lunch and wandered around the city for a little bit, and then you get back on the train and come back down to Durango. So it is an absolutely must do if you're down in that area.
That and the Georgetown Loop I want to do.
Both. It's a longer experience than the Georgetown Loop, but it is worthwhile. But it does take you the whole day, not just a couple hours. And then Durango also is kind of the kicking off point to get over to Crested Butte, which is my favorite ski area in Colorado. So when I do my ski episode, you'll hear me say that for about, 5 different ski areas that are all my favorite for different reasons. But that one is definitely in my top 5 as a favorite. Excellent skiing down there.
Exactly.
One of the reasons I didn't go to Western State was because I knew I would major in downhill and never
Never go to class.
go to class.
How Colorado kid of you.
Oh my gosh.
That's
That's such
definitely,
a Coloradoan.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, because this is the way.
It is the way. I coulda, shoulda. They had a
Yep.
great jazz program down there. A lot of Eastman School of Music
It's
professors.
a good school of
and
music down there.
Absolutely,
It
it is
certainly
kind of
is.
a hidden gem.
Yeah.
But between the music and the skiing, I would probably have never gotten
Got out
a
of school.
degree that could employ me. I would have been a ski bum for the
to
rest
me,
of my
that's
life.
honestly very, very disappointing that there is not enough publicity about that area for that reason.
Yeah,
Again, little
You know?
hidden gems.
and little
yeah.
hidden gems.
But I mean,
But
to have a conservancy like that,
Oh,
a
yeah.
music area like that, where it is.
I'm sure it's
Robust.
expressed itself now with the Telluride festivals and
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Yeah, sure,
But,
sure.
So it's probably more well known now than when I was deciding on the school. But yeah, there was my dream, right, of being a jazz musician at night, skiing all day. There you go.
Yep.
How I'd earned my income, I'm not quite sure,
I don't
but
know,
there you
but that would have been nice.
All right then. Moving back onto the road, we're heading even farther west.
And little south.
We're going into Cortez.
Yes.
Now, from Cortez, this is a great place to be. Okay. The mountain areas here are beautiful. You're starting to see a little bit more of a high desert feel.
And the mesas.
Yeah.
The terrain gets a little more
Exactly.
flat.
Yeah.
Topped.
This is, again, leftovers from how sediment was deposited, all worn down, deposited again, and all worn down. It's
It's very much like Arches. Like that's right on the other side is Utah and Arches.
right. And
So
well,
it's
Monument
all that.
Valley
Yeah,
is
it's all
just
that.
across the border there.
Yeah.
In Utah. But for excuse me, there I am. There in Cortez is a great launching spot and a great place to get gas. And the reason is because now you're going to go into Mesa Verde National
Yeah,
Park.
I actually spent a week in Cortez working, so I got to tool around in there
Then
a
go
little
ahead.
bit. So
Go right ahead.
Really, it's a great little town, and it is a good launching pad to go to a lot of things. Now, I didn't get to do a lot of things because I was doing work at the time, but we did get to go to Mesa Verde and see the Anasazi remains, and it was, we were at a time where the park was, it was the slow season. It was actually there in winter, but the cave dwellings and all of the
cliff dwellings.
cliff dwellings. They were, it was really phenomenal to see how, everything was in the mountain. Like it was on the flats, and it was really, really cool to see. And it's one of the oldest remnants and archaeological sites in the country of one of the oldest known tribes that were in the space.
In fact, if my research is correct, it was the first preserved archaeological site in the country.
I would believe that. Yeah, it's really neat. And the storytelling was fantastic. We had great interpreters there. It was really, really good.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and just learning culture and learning about how they carried everything. They're up and down on these ladders, and they built ladders like you would think a ladder would look like, modern ladder, but they carry everything on their head.
Yeah.
So they had 2 hands and 2 feet to scale up and down these ladders, but they're carrying cisterns of water on their head up and down these cliffs. It was insane how they described how that would work.
Well, and the amount of precision and intricacy of the masonry work.
Yeah.
And it's just adobe bricks and mud. Mortar.
Oh, it's cool. It's really cool.
And it's survived this long.
Well, but
You know.
it survived. It was occupied for 900 years or something. It was a city for millennia.
A working city for a long time.
Yeah, for a very long time, from 700 to 1300.
Yeah, something like that.
What I find interesting as well is that it's very reminiscent of Greek structures.
Now that you
Yes, it
mention
is.
And that the masonry and how they built everything and how everything was brick in down in holes, and the walls would go up. It's very it reminds me of the Greek architecture a lot.
It does. Now the kivas that are there You can still visit kivas in some of the Navajo reservations. That's a tradition that has stayed with the Native American folks in this particular area of the country, is the kiva. And the kiva essentially is a chapel that's underground. It's in the ground. You get in and out of it through a ladder. It is meant to be dark, and it is meant to be cool.
And so that was an interesting point that I learned about too, is that in the caves and on the cliff dwellings, the temperature was consistent. So they didn't really have to heat it or cool it. It stayed the same all the time. Right. So even during, the summers down there are blazes hot.
Oh, they're brutal.
The winters are windy and cold just as brutal. So the consistency in their spaces that they had created on these cliffs and in the caves was really fascinating. It was really cool. Neat history, knowing that, Colorado is young compared to the East Coast, but yet we have something that's that old that we can learn from is really neat.
As far as what we have as far as the amount of human settlements, but we actually have older things here than they do on the East Coast.
True. I'm just thinking of as a state and as people being in a lot of people being in the area.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, it's
non-native tribes in the area.
European settlers were very young.
Yeah.
With Native American settlers, we are very old.
This was the East Coast.
Very old.
There are tribes out in the whole continent. So
Well, and they talk about the Clovis Point tribes. We had several of those.
Yeah.
It's true Stone Age culture out here. Anyway,
we had mammoths.
Yeah, we certainly did.
They've been found. So
we certainly did.
Anyway, it was really neat. And if you're kind of into that, Cortez is a great little town to visit. It was, it's kind of that, again, the last bastion before you head out to nothingness.
Well, so it's the last major inhabited area before you hit the border, before you hit Utah.
Well, Flagstaff is the next one.
Yeah.
And that's in Arizona and South Carolina. But that's kind of the next big city.
And the Navajo reservation that spans across Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico, in that four corners
Four corners out of Cortez, and you can stand in 4 states at once.
There we are. And it's on US 60. It is at the very bitter end of Colorado.
Yes.
Right there. I'll put the picture up here again of...
It's marked.
Four Corners Monument. It is a national site. There, I'll be honest, there's not much to see.
You go to stand in 4 states, and that's about it. And then you drive on to somewhere else.
There are merchants in each quadrant that you can go visit. And they're usually Native American artisans. They've got their little food trucks out there.
Indian fry bread.
Yeah, Indian fry bread and Navajo tacos. Yeah. And okay, now the thing is that Navajo taco is not this little bitty taco. Okay, it's not little.
And it's like flat.
It's a giant bread bowl type thing. It's the
flat
fry bread with
stuff
junk on it.
So good. Usually like really yummy pork. And salsa and crema.
Or if they're being traditional, it's goat. It's deer or whatever.
It's a vessel to hold things. It's so good.
Very yummy things, and all the spices and everything are very happy, and it just, again, a comfort food.
Yeah,
it's comfort food. Anyway, we're not a food channel,
but like I said, but food is culture. And when you learn about culture, you learn about their food.
Exactly. We're not a food channel, and yet.
But we like to eat. It's one of my superpowers.
Yeah,
so
I love it. It is for her, definitely. Anyway, so we're going to backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Now that we've talked about Four Corners, we're going to go back.
Yeah, well, we can't go forward. We'll be in another state.
Right, and I don't want to talk about that. But we're going to be going back, and we're going to go back on US on 60, and we're going to go right to the point of where there's a town called Fort Garland. Okay. At Fort Garland on US 160, you're going to head south on Highway 159. And you are going to eventually get to San Luis or San Luis. However the locals want to call it. I call it San Luis.
Sure.
The San Luis Valley holds the town of San Luis, which is the oldest continually inhabited town in Colorado.
Congratulations.
And they were an inhabited town since the late 1500s.
Wow.
Yeah. They were a mission stop.
Okay.
And it had been a continually settled town long before St. Augustine. Just soon after Albuquerque. Or no, I think
Santa Fe.
Before Albuquerque and Santa Fe.
Okay.
I think. I'll have to do the research on that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Santa Fe is pretty old.
We have older towns here than they do on the East Coast by centuries. Okay.
Well, yeah.
At least a couple.
European settled inhabited towns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so San Luis is worth it just to go visit.
Have we been there?
I don't believe we have.
Okay.
I don't believe we have. And the really sad part is because there's really not much to see other than the town itself.
Yeah. I would say, how south have we gone? I don't remember.
Well, I've been all the way to Raton.
Well, I mean, like as a family, like when we would do family
as a
trips.
family,
like, a lot of these things we've been talking about.
Farthest south we've been is Mesa Verde.
Okay.
Yeah, south and west. That's the farthest we've gone. I don't believe that we've actually ever, as a family, done anything. We haven't even gone to Farmington as a family.
I've
So,
never been to Farmington.
Yeah. Oh, I have a couple of times. That's the big town.
I've driven through it.
That's the big town in New Mexico.
Mexico, yeah, right on the other side of the border.
Like big town. Listen to me. Okay, for that area,
it's a big town,
and it's a nice town. I like it.
It's a space that you can get a bathroom stop in.
Okay, Farmington is really cool because I really like the people there because yes, they're New Mexico, but they act like Colorado people. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh no, I get it. It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I know. I'm not trying to be dismissive of my friends in New Mexico.
No.
I love you all. It is the land of enchantment. But it's kind of weird to be in the land of enchantment and have these people understand what I'm talking about.
I know it is sort of mountainous and very similar terrain as Colorado and
exactly
before New Mexico turns into what it's known for. So.
Yeah, honestly, it's a beautiful little town.
It really is.
It's a beautiful little town. Anyway, enough about Farmington.
Speaking of fishing, that's another good place.
Oh, indeed. So anyway, San Luis, definitely. I would make the decision to go to San Luis. That's just me.
To say you've been.
Well, yeah, to say you've been, but I mean, there's some old churches.
Yeah.
there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh,
it's the mission town.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
there's some old churches there. Oh, let's see what else we got going here. We're almost in an hour.
Okay. So we talk terrain because the Sangre de Cristos are the mountain range down there. Like kind of like adjacent
the San Juans.
Adjacent to the Rockies, but it's I don't know how to I mean, they look a little different and they feel a little different, but I don't know if they're mountains. I know, go.
The reason they're different is because they're volcanoes. Actually,
so are the Rockies, but
not all the Rockies. The Rockies. Okay,
I know. The
Rocky Mountains were formed with uplift and erosion.
Yeah.
Okay, and a lot of this uplift and erosion was from volcanic activity. The main area of the Sangre de Cristos and the San Juans was formed by one major, not one, but a major event, and it is the second largest supervolcano in the world.
dun, dun, dun.
Yes, that's right. And now I've got to go to my notes because here we go. The La Garita Caldera. And I'm going to start reading stuff off at you folks. Let's see. It's a large caldera. They say that it's extinct right now. It's an extinct supervolcano in the San Juan volcanic field in the San Juan Mountains around the town of Creede, Colorado.
Ah, Creede.
Yes. in southwestern Colorado, United States. It is west of the town of La Garita, Colorado. The eruption that created La Garita caldera is among the largest known volcanic eruptions in Earth's history, as well as being one of the most powerful known supervolcanic events. Let's see here. This is all from Wikipedia, so just putting that out there. Yeah, well, there's that, and also giving credit where credit is due.
There you go.
The La Garita caldera is one of a number of calderas that formed during the massive Ignimbrite flare-up. Say that 10 times fast.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, in Colorado, Utah, and Nevada. The reason is because there's another supervolcano in Utah that is apparently connected or was part of that hotspot chain as the plate moved across. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, is the flare up in Colorado, Utah, Nevada from 40 to 18 million years ago. So it's been some time. The big known eruption for La Garita caldera was 28.3 million years ago. So there's that. And yeah, it was the site of the massive eruption of about 28.01 plus or minus 0.04 million years ago during the Oligocene epoch, or epoch, however you want to pronounce it. The scale of the La Garita volcanism was the second greatest of the Cenozoic era. So it was big. It was huge. The resulting Fish Canyon tuff has a volume, and that's the ash tuff itself, has a volume of approximately 1,200 cubic miles of volcanic ash, giving it a volcanic explosivity index rating of 8. And I don't necessarily know the ratings all that much. I do know that...
What was Vesuvius?
Vesuvius was a 7.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. I believe it's a 7. Now I have to go back and look because now I'm thinking it was a 5.
We'll have to look. I mean, but you want to think about like big volcanic eruptions. Right. Vesuvius is up there.
Right. To give yourselves an idea, Mount St. Helens was a 4. 4. Mm-hmm. So, let's see. Where was I? By comparison, the eruption of Mount St. Helens on May 18th, 1980 was 0.25 cubic miles in volume. Okay. By contrast, the most powerful human-made explosive device ever detonated was the Tsar Bomba, and it yielded a 50 megaton explosion, or a 50 megaton yield. Whereas the eruption of the La Garita was about 5,000 times more energetic. So all those beautiful little spires and everything that are poking out through the San Juans, and it just is...
Sangre de Cristos.
Sangre de Cristos is so beautiful and everything. That's exploded rock.
Yeah, boom.
Okay.
And that's what's left behind.
Yeah, and it is a caldera that is approximately, at its widest point, 50 miles wide.
Wow.
It dwarfs Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm.
So Yellowstone is important because it's still active.
Yeah.
La Garita is classified as not active.
Yeah.
But the result of La Garita is that there are hot springs all over this area.
Mm-hmm.
There are the Springs Resort and Spa in Pagosa Springs, Ouray Hot Springs in Ouray, Mount Princeton Hot Springs in Nathrop, Orvis Hot Springs in Ridgeway, Sand Dunes Hot Springs in Hooper, Dunton Hot Springs in Dolores, Colorado, Durango Hot Springs and Resort and Spa in Durango, of course, the Valley View Hot Springs in Moffett, and Joyful Journey Hot Springs in Salida. Don't ask me.
It's a spiritual journey
you
take at the Joyful Journey.
Exactly. Now, all of these are commercial hot springs, okay? You can visit for a fee. This does not include the various and numerous backcountry hot springs that exist.
Which I would caution someone to try and be in, because they they can be super hot and
They
you can
can.
boil yourself.
Yeah.
So I would
They're all over the backcountry, the San Juans and La Garita Caldera, though be careful.
be very careful. That's a hot water.
Some of these hot springs are hot.
Hot.
And we're talking about at least 100 to 200 degrees above boiling.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Okay. There's no temperature regulation in natural hot springs, nor is there any pH control. So not only is it hot water,
It's acid.
it's hot acidic water.
It'll burn you.
Yeah. I
In
mean,
many ways.
In many ways.
it'll melt you. Okay.
No
It'll
one will
melt you.
ever know you were there.
Also, some of these hot springs are on private property.
Yeah.
Okay. Please gain permission if possible.
Or, maybe just go to the commercial ones.
Yeah. And do not trespass. We talked about this before about the crazy mountain people. Okay.
We love you.
We love our mountain people.
Yeah.
But we want you to love them too, and we want you to have them love you.
Well, and respect their space. It's their
Exactly.
space. So
Exactly. For your natural hot spring experience, trespassing is just not worth the jail time or worse.
Right.
So that's what I had to say about the hot springs and the Sangre de Cristos and the San Juans. But we did touch on the very early Americans. Very early Americans. We did touch a little bit on the Spanish conquistadors with San Luis. Is there anything else that we may have missed?
Well, I was thinking, you just settling that area, it was definitely a corridor going in for the missions and us and our tie to Mexico and us being a Mexican territory for a long time. So
Or Spanish territory.
Spanish territory as well. So it's like, like that space influences culture down there. And that's why we see a lot of, the Cortez and
San Juan.
yeah,
Sangre
and
de
just
Cristo.
some of the
Dolores.
foods and the cultures and everything and how
Del Norte,
and
Monteverde.
we're very diverse
Oh, we are.
because of all of those influences that have come through, and just the settling and missions, and knowing that our state was pass through for a lot of things,
Oh, indeed.
and
In all kinds of
we're-
directions.
and we're influenced by a lot of things, and that's what you see that in the people who live here.
Well,
So,
and when we talked about it, when we first began this, when I talked about the number of Native Americans, and Native American nations
yeah, big time down there.
that
Yeah,
came through
Yeah.
Colorado, and settled in Colorado, it's, especially this area,
yeah,
was Ute territory that we're talking about. And this is where a lot of the summering areas were for the Ute, for the Ute people, which is why there was a law that was passed by the Spanish crown that said this area in this portion of our territory in the New World,
Yeah, leave it.
you cannot go to.
yeah. Leave
You
it.
may not be there. Now,
Till they discovered gold. And then
and
Yeah.
then all bets were off after that. Yeah.
we covered that last week. So.
We did. So I think that hit it. And yeah, I went and did
It's-
my,
Far and few between. There's a lot of space down here, but the places that you can stop and stay are pretty cool and definitely worth it. I think, if you want to get out of Denver and out of the northern corridor, head south for a little bit. It's pretty cool.
it
It's
is
neat.
so worth it. I mean, Colorado is more than just Denver, Colorado Springs, and Grand Junction.
And skiing.
Yeah. We are so much
There's
more
more.
than that.
Yeah, there's more to do.
And I guess that's why this series is important to me, because I want to share that. I want to let people know that you can come here in July and it's okay.
And there's a lot to do.
There's a lot to do here, folks. There's so much to do.
And you want to go high because it's cooler up in the mountains than it is down in the plains. You want to go to those
Testify.
mountain spaces. So
Testify.
we're kind of in a heat space right now. So we're all trying to
Yeah.
do that. But anyway, beautiful part of town. We need to do more down there, I
Exactly.
guess,
So, Kris, you have any more?
I do not.
Okay, Alice, you got any more?
I got to get down south a little more, I guess.
Yeah, we do.
I guess we all do.
Yeah.
I guess we all do.
Play down there for a minute.
Well, and that's exactly true.
All right, where are we going to next?
we're going to northwestern Colorado.
Okay, I'm like, are we going to do the same thing, the whole band up there? Or are we just going to go?
I think what we're going to do is we're going to start from Estes and work our way west.
Okay.
The reason is because there's some important things that happen between Estes and the border. And
cool.
A lot of them involve, once again, geology and dinosaurs. Yay, dinosaurs!
Yay!
Yay! Yay, dinosaurs! All right, folks. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will catch you guys in 2 weeks. Once again, hopefully all three of us will be in it again.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So on that note, we'll see you soon.
Let's go, Cookie Boys.
All right. So Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously. But Moses, he knows his toes aren't roses, that Moses supposes his toes to be. Yeah, and there we back. Yeah.
Moses!
You realize I'm recording right now, right?
It's okay. Moses! If you watch that movie, like any 5 minutes, you know that's one of the best scenes.